Sam Bankman-Fried was once hailed as a crypto genius compared to the likes of JP Morgan before becoming known as one of the greatest financial fraudsters in American history. Fried was the founder of the crypto exchange FTX when the FBI came knocking on his door to sentence him to what would become the second longest sentence for any financial crime. At the time of his arrest, FTX was poised to become the largest crypto exchange in the world, but there was a dark secret. FTX was working with a second company in secret to offshore millions of dollars. This second company was also owned by none other than Sam Bankman-Fried. Fried was buying expensive cars, traveling the world, and scooping up luxury real estate with funds he had stolen from his exchange. This is the story of a financial scheme that involved celebrities and athletes such as Stephen Curry and Larry David before going up in flames and losing its investors over $8 billion. But how was someone like Fried able to dupe so many people into placing their trust in his company? And how did Fried's offshoring lead to the total collapse of the FTX exchange? Born in 1992, SBF is the son of two well-educated Stanford Law School professors, Barbara Fried and Joseph Bankman, while his grandmother was a renowned musicologist. He was the firstborn and has a younger brother, Gabriel Bankman-Fried, who also grew up to become a Wall Street trader. With a relatively normal childhood, SBF grew up in the shadows of Silicon Valley and showed an aptitude for solving problems from a young age.
Look, I don't think that the worst things that are said are true, but you don't get in this situation that we got in if you if you make all the right decisions.
SBF was noted as being mathematically talented and even attended the Canada-USA math camp when he was a high school student. Showing great promise, SBF graduated from high school with high marks and went on to attend the prestigious Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. At MIT, he joined various social clubs and even a fraternity house called Epsilon Theta where he lived on campus. It was there that SBF landed himself an internship working at Jane Street Capital, a proprietary trading firm on Wall Street. It was his first step into the world of trading, and SBF had fallen in love with what he had seen before him. But this wasn't enough to detract SBF from his first love of math, as he would later go on to graduate from MIT with a bachelor's degree in physics and a minor in mathematics.
We're going to talk a little bit about where Sam Bankman-Fried came from and where actually a lot of his fellow senior executives at FTX came from in Alameda. And that is a Wall Street firm called Jane Street.
But this initial foray into the trading world would pay off for the 23-year-old graduate, as he would return to work full-time for Jane Street Capital in 2014.
What is Jane Street? What do they do exactly?
As a full-time trader for the firm, SBF networked with some of the best investors in Wall Street and learned the lessons needed to start his own firm.
So I left Jane Street about 2 years ago. I was doing ETF trading there, and I don't know, took sort of a brief look into crypto and saw what looked like sort of a lot of good trading opportunities, but I had no clue if they were real or if it's just sort of fake data. So I started looking into this. Upon further inspection, it looked like, a lot of it was fake, but some of it was real, and enough of it was real that there were some really good trading opportunities.
I think it's safe to say that a majority of SBF's time at Jane Street was spent planning out his next venture. In 2017, after 3 years at the company, SBF decided to leave Jane Street to begin his very own business, his own quantitative trading firm. He decided he wanted to base his firm out of Berkeley, California, but before he could do this, he needed to get people on board who would be willing to believe in his supposedly altruistic ideals. After moving to California, he decided to join an Oxford-based organization called the Center for Effective Altruism as the Director of Development. Although he only stayed for a few months, he recruited as many as 20 young altruists from this organization into his firm, most of whom had no experience trading in financial markets, nor were aware of cryptocurrencies. With a motivated workforce and connections from Wall Street, he was able to round up funding from billionaire computer programmer John Tallien and investor Luke Ding. Together, with another member from the center, SBF co-founded his crypto quantitative trading firm, Alameda Research.
If I'd been more careful, there's a billion things I could have done.
At the time, it seemed things were going well for SBF. A few months after founding Alameda Research in 2018, SPF's company was moving upwards of $25 million a day in arbitrage trading. In basic terms, Alameda Research was using its investors' money to buy Bitcoin at a discounted price in the US, selling it for a higher price in other countries like Japan. From there, the money would be exchanged and wired back to the US, where he could redistribute the gains to his investors. This model was successful at the time and helped Alameda grow exponentially in just a few short months. The company was growing rapidly, and SPF was wiring so much money that he decided in late 2018 to move his company to Hong Kong to be closer to the investments. It was soon reported that Alameda Research was managing well over $100 million at one time through these trades. SPF kept a close eye on his money and wanted to ensure that these funds could later be used to help in another startup, a cryptocurrency exchange he believed would help change the world. In 2019, SPF and his friend Gary Wang did just that. They founded a new exchange they would name FTX, short for Futures Exchange. However, unknown to investors at the time, Alameda Research played a significant role in the growth of FTX, as it acted as FTX's main market maker, or liquidity provider. As a market maker, Alameda Research was able to make trades on FTX, sometimes purposely taking the losing sides of these trades to attract customers to the exchange. Effectively, SPF and Wang were able to manipulate the market and misrepresent FTX using funds from Alameda Research. If FTX prices were low, Alameda could simply buy more stock and increase the company's value. Obviously, this is very misleading for investors, but SPF and Wang pushed forward anyway.
Spoofing is an interesting case. Category is what I'd say, things that would in traditional equity markets be deemed market manipulation. And so, the worst thing that you can have is a strong market expectation that orders are legitimate, and then to see a spoofer come in, because people see that offer and they assume that that liquidity is there, that that's a bona fide order they can trade against. And then it goes away before anyone can trade against it every time, and it's sort of wrecking people's understanding how these markets work and the implicit promise of them.
And it seemed to be working. SPF made it a point to separate the two companies as individual entities. More new customers flooded into FTX, bringing in more attention and legitimacy to his platform than ever before. And with all these new customers and seemingly overnight success, SPF became the poster boy for cryptocurrency at the time. At the peak of his net worth, SPF was ranked the 41st richest American in the Forbes 400. With all these accolades soon came the flood of celebrity endorsements. Stars like Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary, and Gisele Bündchen came forward giving the exchange their seals of approval.
I'm not an expert, and I don't need to be. With FTX, I have everything I need to buy, sell, and trade crypto safely.
I don't think so. And I'm never wrong about this stuff. Never.
FTX was soaring past other crypto exchanges quickly, and soon became the third largest exchange. After just 6 months of starting the firm, Changpeng Zhao of Binance purchased a 20% stake in FTX for approximately $100 million. Soon, FTX was handling over $32 billion for users across the globe. And with their continued success in 2019, FTX decided to launch their crypto token, the FTT token. Upon its launch, it had a value of $1.20, but by the end of 2020, it had more than quadrupled in value, earning early investors in FTX a large sum of money. But little did users know, it was all built on lies. Using the money from Alameda Research as a jumping-off point, SPF and Wang put together an exchange that they believed would become their financial piggy bank. With the launch of their token, they could even more closely tie Alameda's investments into the exchange through the blockchain without raising concerns. However, leaked documents would soon come out in 2022 revealing the true nature of their business transactions and the secrets these fraudsters were really hiding. At the start of 2022, SPF was the golden boy for crypto, and both of his companies and tokens were doing great. He had moved his company's headquarters to the Bahamas and was on pace to becoming one of the richest people in the world. But SPF had made it a point to put on a humble persona, wearing basic clothing such as a baggy t-shirt and some khaki shorts. He made his hair messy and would regularly use a beanbag chair as his bed as part of his persona. News and media outlets were fighting to get stories on the monk-like crypto genius. But in reality, SPF was handling more money than anyone on Earth under the age of 30. and this came more into light during the crypto crash that plagued the industry in June that year. That's when SPF came to the rescue, signing deals with failing firms to keep their businesses running. Soon, he was being compared to JP Morgan for the number of bailouts he went forward with. His companies were doing great and doing transactions in the billions of dollars. And from all this wealth and financial success soon came the hidden luxury purchases. Under FTX's name, SPF purchased a slew of luxury properties in the Bahamas for his friends and family, reaching prices in the hundreds of millions of dollars. 19 of these properties were given to senior-level executives as well as to his parents. Among these properties were 7 luxury condos intended for key personnel in FTX. One property was reportedly worth over $16 million and was listed as a vacation home for his parents. But the biggest of these homes was a $35 million Bahamian property he shared with 9 people, including friends from high school, an ex-girlfriend, college roommates, and top execs from his company. SPF was spending millions of dollars, flying on private jets around the world to various remote locations where he spared no expenses in hotels, food, and entertainment. SPF was also extremely politically driven, giving out donations totaling over $40 million to different campaigns in 2021. Both of his companies were skyrocketing in value, and his crypto token was reaching highs of over 6,000%. But this life of luxury would come crashing down with the revelation of leaked financial documents from CoinDesk. In November that year, CoinDesk, a crypto news outlet, got their hands on leaked balance sheets from Alameda and FTX. These documents detailed that Alameda Research, the company SPF desperately wanted to separate from FTX, held large amounts of its assets in FTT, the token that was issued by FTX. This suggested that the finances of the two companies were actually intertwined, and according to these balance sheets, Alameda was facing a massive cash crunch. The document also detailed that earlier in June, Alameda had invested over $3.6 billion into the token, which they planned on using as collateral in the event of Alameda's collapse. This meant that billions of dollars worth of the token could be liquidated, resulting in the complete destruction of the price of the token. Binance announced shortly after this revelation that they would be selling off their entire portfolio of tokens. Investors, feeling misled and nervous by SPF, sold off their tokens in mass droves, leading to the price of the token to plummet anyways to just pennies on the dollar. The spike in customer withdrawals was so large that FTX was unable to fulfill a large amount of orders, causing the total collapse of the crypto exchange. FTX and Alameda were devastated. Both companies had completely gone bankrupt in a matter of weeks, and SPF was forced to resign his position as CEO of the companies. In their bankruptcy filing, FTX listed having more than 130 affiliated companies around the globe. The company's total assets were valued at around $50 billion before its massive implosion, and now it was worth nothing. The story was becoming more clear. SPF was investing funds from Alameda Research into his own cryptocurrency. SPF was hoping to use his token and his customers' money as collateral for Alameda Research. And understandably, customers were scared and decided to withdraw their money from the exchange. But what had actually happened to their money that FTX wasn't able to pay out its large sum of orders? It turns out SPF wasn't as wealthy as he pretended to be. Through a series of wire transfers and investments, SPF had been revealed to be funneling off billions of dollars from users on his exchange through Alameda. It had been uncovered that Alameda was taking user funds from FTX to use for its often risky investments. The Southern District of New York charged SPF with wire fraud, securities fraud, and money laundering, leading to his arrest by the Royal Bahamas Police Force. He complied with the investigation and was held in Fox Hill Prison in Nassau for 10 days before his eventual extradition to the U.S. SPF was then allowed to remain free on a $250 million bond, the largest bond ever set on an American criminal, along with the condition that he stay in his parents' home in California until his eventual trial in October of 2023. SPF pleaded not guilty to fraud and the other charges levied against him. The case was centered largely around the main ways that Alameda was able to access and steal the funds of FTX customers. The first of many was the line of credit that Alameda had on the exchange. A credit line is a relatively common facility that enables an entity like a bank to function and provide money in an efficient manner. Think of how a credit card works. You have a limit to how much money you could borrow from the bank before you have to pay back the debt. In the case of FTX, users were allowed to borrow from a liquidity pool of user funds based on a specified credit limit. However, Alameda was given special treatments by FTX. Alameda's credit line was essentially unlimited, and it was exempt from using collateral to secure funds from the pool. This meant SPF could freely take money in and out of his users' accounts however he pleased without having to give anything in return. And senior engineers later testified in court that they had added these features at the direction of their CEO. SPF also admitted in court that he was aware of the credit limit and that Alameda ultimately borrowed around $2 billion from their customers this way. In this trial, SPF faced 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. Over a dozen witnesses testified against SPF, including 3 FTX executives, one of whom was FTX's co-founder Gary Wang as part of a bigger plea deal. With these testimonies, the documents from CoinDesk, and statements from Alameda's balance sheets, the jury found SPF guilty on all 7 counts of fraud. It was speculated at the time that SPF could face upwards of 100 years in prison for his crimes, but ultimately, he was sentenced to serve 25 years in federal prison.
But as you know, the FTX terms of service tell the people who signed up, none of the digital assets in your account are the property of or shall be or may be loaned to FTX Trading. But you're saying that happened.
My understanding is a few things happen. The first is there is a margin trading facility on FTX by which users can lend out funds, by which other users borrow funds. And so there are explicit cases where there is, margin extended, where there is borrow lending.
If Alameda is borrowing the money that belongs to FTX depositors, that's a bright red line, isn't it?
There are a lot of cases where that's actually explicitly part of the programs and that are
but
happening.
Not here. Here it says that the digital assets may not be loaned to FTX Trading. They can't be loaned out.
In the aftermath, FTX reportedly lost over $32 billion after filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, but it doesn't end there. With SPF behind bars for the next 25 years, FTX was only able to recover around $7.3 billion from the fallout, a shy step away from the much higher figures lost. But the worst part of this story? Many of the shady executives from FTX are still free, looking towards their next venture. Thanks so much for staying to the end of the video. Please make sure you subscribe and be on the lookout for more new stories like this.